Do you feel the vibes?
What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to you with another video. Welcome to my NFL 2017 Week 7 recap between the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears. Now, watching this game live, I was pretty pissed. And, of course, I'm going to talk about that. The Bears ended up picking up the win 17-3 on pretty much no offense, but two key defensive touchdowns by Eddie Jackson. He had two 70-plus yard defensive touchdowns. One was an interception, and the other was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Now, I'm going to quickly get into the numbers, and I'm going to talk about everything else afterwards. Starting with the Bears, Mitch Trubisky, 4-7, 107 yards. Really, he had one play of 70 yards, which was to Cohen. So that accounted for 3/4 of his total yard production, his total yards for the game. But they didn't really need it because the defense played so well. You know, they were able to get some scores and really pretty much shut down the Panthers' offense. Looking at the Chicago Bears rushing, Jordan Howard, 21 carries, 65 yards. Panthers defensively, I thought, did a really good job. Like I said, they gave up the one big 70-yard play, but for the most part, they really shut down the Bears' offense, even without Luke Kuechly playing. Mr. Trubisky had 5 carries for 3 yards. So not big on the rushing attack, which the rushing attack, Jordan Howard's been pretty good this season, and the Panthers were really able to shut him down. Chicago's receiving, Cohen, 1 reception. He had the 70-yard reception. Zach Miller, 2 receptions, 29. And Gentry, 1 reception for 8. So not a lot offensively. Just looking at looking at the Bears. Not really a lot offensively. You know, like I said, the one big play, which did get them, did net them a field goal. So it did help out in a way. But for the most part, the defense was the difference. The defense was able to generate turnovers, and they were able to directly capitalize on the Panthers' mistakes. Looking at defensively, of course, I talk about Eddie Jackson. He had the 2 defensive touchdowns. But I felt as though the entire Bears defense played well, especially the front 7. They were able to get a lot of pressure on Cam Newton. Trevathan had 2 hits on Cam Newton. Floyd had 2 hits on Cam Newton. There were so many players. Keem Hicks, he had a sack. They were in the backfield. That front 7 for the Bears was in the backfield the entire game, and they played well this year. More people aren't looking at that, but they played well this year. You look at the Falcons game, they played well. You look at the Steelers, they played well. Against the Ravens, they played well. It's mainly the offense which really hasn't been able to keep up because of issues at receiver, because of issues at offensive line, and of course you have a younger quarterback. So that's really what's been holding the Bears back. But if they can get some of those issues ironed out, they can be a team that can turn around really quick with the way the defense is playing. And that front 7 really dominated the game. They created some of the turnovers. Secondary was able to hold up. Helps a lot when your front 7 can get a lot of pressure on the quarterback and force some errant throws, or force him to make throws that are too early throws that he doesn't necessarily want to make, but he has to get rid of the ball. So I thought that front 7 played really good. The linebackers did a good job of covering. Did a good job on Christian McCaffrey. So people aren't looking at that Bears defense, but that Bears defense is good. They are good. And you can look at some of the other games to kind of show that they are pretty good. But heading over to the Carolina side, Cam Newton, 21-34, 211 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 picks. He was sacked 5 times and was hit a lot more. Hurried. Yeah, I'll talk about that afterwards. Carolina rushing, Cam Newton, 9 carries, 50 yards. Oh, by the way, Cam Newton was terrible if I didn't mention that. He was garbage in this game. They'll blame the offensive line, but there are so many plays where he just holds the ball, partly due to he's slow at reading progressions. and Mike Shula's calling these long route combinations with these slow receivers. Gonna take those guys a while to get open. When your offensive line has injuries and has been struggling even when healthy, you can't do that. You know your quarterback, he's slow in reading his progressions. He's had accuracy issues. You saw it in this game. You just have to make it easier. But looking at Carolina's rushing, Cam Newton 9 carries, 50 yards. Jonathan Stewart 14 carries, 48 yards, and Christian McCaffrey 7 carries, 10 yards. Christian McCaffrey's not making guys miss in the hole. He's better off being that receiving back coming out of the backfield or running toss plays, but the offensive line doesn't block good enough for that, so it doesn't matter. But he's not making guys miss. Jonathan Stewart, at this point, Jonathan Stewart is a short yardage back. He's not gonna be able to outrun anyone, but he can get you, 2, 3, 4 yards on a play. But him being the every down back, him being the guy who gets majority of the carries, I think that time is gone. Just looking at the games, he's obviously slow. He's never a fast guy, but you can see he's just not getting the yardage that he used to get. Partly due because he's getting hit in the backfield because the offensive line is horrible. But you can just see his abilities have diminished because of age, which you expect to happen. But McCaffrey, he's been a disappointment in the running game. Just because he's not making guys miss, as I said. But heading on to Carolina's receiving, Kelvin Benjamin, 3 receptions, 65. Devin Funches, 4 receptions for 41. Christian McCaffrey, 7 receptions for 36. He gets a lot of targets. He had the most targets in this game. Curtis Samuel, 1 reception for 20. Russell Shepard, 2 receptions for 20. Ed Dixon, 3 receptions for 18. And Manhurst, 1 reception for 11. I'll be honest, I don't know who the fuck that is, man. Of course, Cam Newton had the fumble. Looking defensively, I thought the guys played really good defensively. They gave up the big play. Okay. But for the most part, they were able to get hits on Trubisky. They were able to force some inaccurate throws, and I thought the coverage was really good. But yet again, the defense plays good, and the offense is nowhere to be found. It's happened a few times this season, and with really only 2 really good games to show in terms of offensive production, the defense has stayed mostly consistent. I would say outside of a couple of games, the Patriots game, they kind of faltered near the end. Lions game, same thing near the end. But for the most part, they've played well, even without Luke Kuechly, which I thought Mayo came in there and did a really good job as a replacement. Obviously he's not Luke Kuechly, but he came in and did a really good job. And I like the blitzes. I like, they're bringing cornerbacks. They're bringing linebackers. They're bringing more pressure than they normally have in years past. And they've been doing that throughout the season, which is why they're one of the higher sack teams in the NFL. I believe they're in the top 6 or 7. So defense gets credit. Offense did nothing to help them at all. Did nothing. But looking at team stats, of course, time of possession, Carolina 30 minutes, 35 seconds. Chicago 21 minutes, 25 seconds. The defensive touchdowns. Carolina, you're looking at it, you're looking at the yards, you look at time of possession, you think they should have won this game. No. The offense turned the ball over at crucial moments, which led directly to scores. Third down efficiency, Carolina 6 of 15, Chicago Bears 2 of 11. Total yards, Carolina 293 yards, Chicago Bears 153. Defense, like I said, did their job. Offense didn't. Offense had 3 turnovers. The fumble, which led to a 70-yard Eddie Jackson touchdown. 2 interceptions. One was to Eddie Jackson, got tipped in the air. He was in right place at the right time, picked it off, ran it back for a touchdown. And a really bad throw by Cam Newton directly to Trevathan, which was it's one of the easiest interceptions you can see a player make. I went back and looked at it. Who was he throwing it to? It was clearly to Trevathan. I mean, I didn't see anyone else. McCaffrey, even if Trevathan didn't intercept it, McCaffrey was still covered. So he wasn't open. So I don't know who exactly he was throwing to. I assume it was him. I mean, he's the only guy in the area, to the direction of that pass. But that's what I'm saying. So many mistakes made by Cam Newton. And like I said, people will blame the offensive line. Offensive line is garbage. They've had injuries. Play calling isn't good. But you just see Cam Newton out there. Accuracy issues. He's not a consistent pocket passer. Yeah, he may come out next game and throw for over 300 yards. But at this point, you can't expect him to consistently do it because he hasn't in the last couple of years. Including this year and last year. He was terrible last year. He had an excuse, injuries, whatever. What's the excuse now? He's just been playing bad. Bad decision making, slow progression reads, which, as you see, he holds the ball in the pocket too long. Offensive line's not that good. And most teams, you have to get rid of the ball quick. You see some of these guys, Aaron Rodgers when he was healthy. You see Drew Brees. You see some of these guys, they get rid of the ball quick. Short, intermediate throws to kind of get in the rhythm, slow down that pass rush, and keep you from taking hits. But this guy stands in the pocket, he takes a bunch of hits. So you always hear, even looking at the commentary in this game, you hear, he doesn't look healthy. Then why is he in the game? I'm just being real. Why is he in the game? He's looked terrible. And people find a way to blame everything else but him. Yeah, there are other things going wrong. But he's part of it. He's part of it. So if he continues to play like this, I'm all for benching him until he can show that he can play better. I'm just saying, like, he comes out, he throws another 2-3 interception game. I'm all for benching him. Mike Shula, Ron Rivera, #fire Rivera, #fire Shula. Rivera. Okay, one thing that pissed me off, obviously outside of the final score, was when, second quarter, you had about a minute left. You're driving down the field. You're driving down the field quite well. There's no sense of urgency. You're already down at that point. I believe the score was 14-3. They were about 2 scores. I know that. And the Panthers, no sense of urgency. They could have possibly got a field goal to go into halftime. They would get the ball back when the half started. It will build up your confidence. Because looking on the sidelines, those guys were completely out of the game. No enthusiasm from anyone on the sidelines. And Ron Rivera, time and time again, has showed a complete ineptitude to manage the clock when you need to manage the clock. Halftime, there was no excuse for them not to attempt a field goal. Because every time the play clock, they always let the play clock go down. And, that's affected the game in multiple ways. For the other team's defense, it allows them to get off to the snap count because they have to, at 1 second, you either have to call a timeout, get the penalty, or snap the ball. So guys are pretty much looking at the play clock, and getting a jump on the offensive lineman, which leads to a lot of sacks, which leads to a lot of hits and hurries for Cam Newton. That's one thing people aren't looking at. But also, it forces you to use timeouts, and you to save those timeouts, you probably would have had a chance to get points at the half. But it was so mishandled. It was amateurish. I honestly, why is he the coach? Was he coaching, or was he just a fan who got a really good view of the game? Just looking at it, and I'm being completely honest. That's what I saw, and it was sad. Even if you aren't a fan, you look at that, you're like, wow, this coaching staff sucks. They sucked in the Philadelphia game. They suck at managing the game. These play calls, the time management. Only thing you can say that's been going consistently good is the defense. This is a defense, despite the injuries. Luke Kuechly being one of them. Defense has played well for the most part. But I think I'm done talking about this game. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. If you watch this game, of course, tell me what you think about it. Of course, you got your Bear fans. Great. Defense looked great. Offensively, they just really need to find a better way at protecting Trubisky. Need to get him some better weapons. That right there is just gonna take time. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.